So for this example, I'm going to start with this model in particular. You can see that I have 2 towers here, right, and a podium. This is really typical in a lot of buildings. And I want to showcase the first step, which is that project setup in your workflow, right? So we're going to go over with this demo those 3 steps: the project setup, data management, and documentation of a project workflow. As a BIM manager, a lot of times I'm tasked with setting up all the views and sheets in a project. Sometimes this takes a week or more. Clients bring me onto a project and task me with just a week of setting up views and sheets. This is a really low-level task that I can now automate and create really quickly using BIMrx Core and my Sheet View Manager, and allows me to now spend less time on this and focus my efforts elsewhere on the project. So, right, like I said, I have these 2 towers, which are going to require me to create a few different steps to set up my documentation set, right? I have to first create an initial view plan. Then I'm going to have to create dependent views for each of my towers here. You can see the scope boxes that define those towers. Then I'm going to create my sheets, and then I'm going to place those views on my sheets. Now, before BIMrx, this would take me so long. But now, not only can I actually use the BIMrx interface in Revit, so I can come here to my views and use the different tabs to create my sheets within the interface here. Or the real game changer here is the ability to use Excel to create all of my views and sheets. I can actually export all of the information out from my model that will host all the views in my model, the sheets in my model, the templates, the scope boxes, etc., that I can then have in my Excel file and use as a basis to populate that Excel file with that information. So here I'm going to open that Excel file, and you can see here that all of that information was exported into that lookup table, right? All my view types, my levels, my templates, etc. I can then come back to one of these tabs here for my views, my sheets, or my placement, and begin to fill out that information. You can see here that this is an example of an Excel file that I've already filled out to create those initial views in my project. I've pre-filled out all the Excel files I need for here, just for the ease of this demo and to show you how easy it is once you have your Excel files filled out to create all the views and sheets in your project. So I'm going to come and load in that first Excel file. And you can see that it's going to fill out all the information for me. I don't have to click anything. I just have to load it in and it's done. Once I hit create, you'll see in a matter of seconds, all of the views in my project were created from that Excel file. The next step is going to be creating those dependent views, right? So I could come here and load in those views again. So I'm going to go to my view tab. I'm going to load in those views from my Excel file. And the difference here is now I'm going to have my duplicate option selected, and it's going to duplicate as dependent from those previous plans. And it's going to create the 2 parts for my towers, right? Hit create again in a fraction of a second. All of my dependent views were created. This is incredible. This is going to save me so much time in my project setup. Sometimes, this is just 2 dependent views, but a lot of times I have 8, 10, 12 sectors of a building if it's a really large building that I need to create dependent views for. It's a really repetitive process that just takes up so much time. The next step is creating all my sheets. So this is going to bring me to the sheets portion. And again, I'm going to load in my pre-created Excel file. And really quickly, you could see that it just fills out the information with the title block. And I can select create. And again, in a fraction of a second or a second and a half, all of my sheets in my project were created, right? How incredible is that? And the last step is going to be to place all the views on my sheets. And this is going to bring me to my Manage tab of the Sheet View Manager. So once I go to my Manage tab, I can load in that last Excel file, which is going to place every view on its corresponding sheet. And I can also specify a location. I'm going to start with placing them all at the bottom right. And afterwards, I'm going to show you how we can use BIMrx to move and align those elements. So this is going to take the longest time. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, of course, this is taking such a long time. You already created all these Excel files. It's going to take much longer for me to do it. But the real kicker is I can actually create cartoon sets standard to my company. I can do this and have every project based off of the same Excel template, hand it over to each PM or project manager, and then they can modify it as needed. So it could really be as simple as I'm showing you right now. You can see that took 11 seconds. And now all of the views have been placed on my sheets, right? Amazing. A next problem I'm facing with my setup is having to modify the location of these views, right? This happens a lot in a project. Sometimes I need to move the view on my sheet to make room for other elements like a legend or other details, things like that. And I want all of my Part A plans for this example to align, right? I need to move them all to that location. So when I'm flipping through my set, they're all in the exact same place in my drawing set. BIMrx allows me to do this so easily. With just a few clicks of a button, I can come to my Manage tab, my View Alignment, specify that first plan, right, that I moved, and then come back and select all of the other Part A plans. I can multi-select, hit Create, and then just like that, all of my views are aligned. If I come to any Part A plan, you'll see that they were all moved. This is going to save me so much time. The last step of the Sheet View Manager that I want to show you here, coming to my Manage tab, is the PDF renamer. Now, a lot of times when I'm exporting drawings out of Revit, I have an issue with the way that it's being exported, right? So I can't really specify the sheet name when I'm exporting individual PDFs. It kind of automatically adds, you know, the model name, the word sheet, so on and so forth. Now I would have to come back and manually change these names. You can imagine if I have hundreds of sheets in my drawing set, this would take a lot of time. And every time I have to re-export, I have to do this process again. In time constraints of a deadline, this is really time consuming and a task that I don't really want to spend my time doing. So when I come to my PDF renamer, I can actually specify which parameters I want to use to rename my PDF. So I can specify the sheet number, I can add as many rows as I want, specify any parameters that I want, add a suffix or a prefix to maybe divide those parameters. And when I come to my create, I can specify any location that I have access to on my computer, on my server, etc. And with one click, it's going to rename all of those PDFs. You can see here now it was renamed with that sheet number and the sheet name. So quick and so easy. I want to move on to the next phase of this demonstration, which is talking about data management. So I'm going to close out all of these. And I want to talk for a second about how to easily manage all the data in my project. You know, as a BIM manager, this is something that I have to deal with on a daily basis in my project. How do I easily manage this data? How do I coordinate this information with my consultants in a really efficient way that'll create really seamless workflows? One of the biggest issues I have is managing rooms in my model. And rooms are a really crucial part of your building information model because it hosts a plethora of information that you need for coordination, right? It hosts information like the number, the finishes, so on and so forth. And the problem with rooms is they're elements that are defined by other elements in my model, like my walls, my ceilings, and my floors. So it creates problems when, for example, I'm trying to select these elements. Rooms don't show up in 3D. So I can't easily grab all the rooms in my model. And the next thing is being able to tag the ceiling heights in my floor plans. So this is an issue I come across a lot. And a lot of clients ask me, I need to tag the ceiling heights in my floor plans. And before BIMrx, I used to come back to them and tell them that's not really an easy thing to do and would require a lot of work to tag the ceiling heights in your floor plans. But now with BIMrx, I can create a custom workflow where I exchange this information out to Excel, update all that information, and bring it back in a matter of minutes. So you can see here that I have all of my rooms tagged with the room height up here. And I've specified all my room heights to be my floor-to-floor heights here. But the issue is that my ceilings actually cause my room heights to vary. And Revit isn't capable of picking up that information easily. It can pick up the volume accurately and the area accurately, but it's not updating my ceiling height. So what I want to do is use parameters that I know are correct, my area and my volume, to calculate my ceiling heights, right? And I'm going to do that using Excel. So the first thing I want to do is select all of the rooms in my model. So I can do this one time for every single room in my model and have it be done with. I'm going to use my filter select to do this. And what the filter select allows me to do is select elements based off of my Revit rule-based filters. And these are the same filters that I have in my visibility and graphics of my views. You can see here I can create new ones, and this brings me to that filters tab. I can select elements, select and hide, or select and isolate. I can also choose to select elements in my entire project or just the current view. But right now I want to select all the rooms in my entire model. You can see it's selecting 98 rooms, right? And now I'm going to extract that information to Excel. I'm going to use my extract function, which allows me to also extract pre-created Revit schedules. But right now we're just going to extract our selection, which is our rooms. And I can either specify every single parameter associated to my elements, or I can define a filter, which allows me to specify exactly which parameters I want to extract. So here, like I said, I'm going to use the area and the volume that I know to be accurate and modify my limit offset. I can save this to my project for future use so that I don't have to come in and select it every time. And this will be saved to my project. And now I can extract that. And once it's done, it'll prompt me to open that Excel file. So here I can see all the information that was extracted, and I can come to the last tab where I'm going to be modifying this information. Now this is where Excel really shines. I can come in and use Excel's core functionality. For example, I can create a really easy formula that takes my volume and divides it by my area, and that'll give me my heights, my ceiling heights. I can easily copy this down, and for those of you using Revit, you know how frustrating it is alone just to copy information from one cell to another. Save this out, come back, and I'm going to zoom in just so you can see this being updated live, and update this information in a matter of seconds, right? Like you saw, in a minute, I used Excel, created all the correct room heights, brought it back in, and literally every single room on my model now has the correct ceiling height that I can tag in my plans and coordinate with all my consultants. Another example that I find really useful to use for this is my door numbers. So that allows me to renumber my doors really efficiently. So a lot of times doors are numbered based off of the room. So you can see here that in this model that isn't correct. I can easily come create a schedule that has my door mark, my two from room numbers, extract that using BIMrx, copy that information from one column to another and bring it back in, and boom, all of my door numbers are updated to match my room numbers. It's that easy. So the last step of my project workflow is my documentation, right? Once I finish managing all my data, setting up all my views, I need to come in and tag that information in my plans, right? The tagging feature in Revit out of the box, it's great. You know, it allows me to tag all my doors or all my elements, no problem, but it isn't perfect. It has a lot of issues that take me a lot of time to correct. For example, if I want to use the tagging out of the box, I can only specify one tag at a time. And unless I use the leader, it'll tag it centered to my door. Now I have to come in, move every single tag out of the way so that it's readable. And if I want to add another tag, I have to do this whole process again. This is going to take so much time. And I don't want to spend my time on these low-level tags. I want BIMrx to automate this for me. Now with the tag all feature, I can actually come in, specify multiple tags, specify any category, save those preset to a location on my server, my computer, that I can then use to again start standardizing not just this project, but standards for my entire company. And this will allow me to create really beautiful, clean drawings with a click of a button. So I can come and specify which tags I want, with the location in relation to my object or my element, and specify an offset. So now I can come select my doors, and you'll see that it really neatly places my tags in the correct locations that I've specified. I can select more than one door at a time. And even though other elements are selected, because I only have the door category on, it'll only tag those doors. I mean, this is going to make creating really beautiful drawings so easy for me.